You have a headache. Your joints ache when it rains. And somewhere 6,000 years ago, a human being figured out that chewing on a specific piece of tree bark would fix both problems. No microscope, no chemistry set, no germ theory, just bark and pain and attention. And here's the part that should stop you cold. That bark contained the exact same active compound found in the aspirin sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. Salicylic acid, discovered, tested, and prescribed thousands of years before anyone knew what a molecule was. So how, exactly, did people with no labs, no instruments, and no scientific method reverse-engineered real pharmacology and get it right? Here's what almost nobody realizes. You were born with a chemistry lab already installed. Your tongue and nose aren't just for enjoying food. They're a detection system, built by evolution to flag toxins, bitterness, and dangerous compounds before you swallow them. Bitter taste receptors alone can detect over 25 distinct classes of toxic plant chemicals. Early humans didn't need microscopes to run an assay. Their own bodies were the instrument. Nausea, vomiting, skin reactions, fever reduction. These weren't just symptoms. They were data. And that data got recorded. Not in a lab notebook, but in something even more durable. Memory, ritual, and story, passed from healer to apprentice, generation after generation. Archaeologists found this directly. In 1991, a 5,300-year-old mummy, known as Ötzi the Iceman, was discovered in the Alps carrying 2 species of birch fungus on a leather string. One, a natural antibiotic and anti-inflammatory. The other, used even today in some folk remedies to treat intestinal parasites. When scientists examined Ötzi's gut, they found he actually had... This wasn't luck. This was applied medicine, 5,000 years before Louis Pasteur was born. Now here's the part that shouldn't have worked at all. Trial and error with toxic plants should have been a death sentence. Half of the plant kingdom contains compounds that can kill you in the wrong dose. So how did ancient humans run experiments on unknown substances and survive long enough to pass on the results? The answer is a mechanism scientists call dose-dependent empiricism. In plain terms, humans didn't test plants blindly. They started small, a taste, a smear on the skin, a diluted tea, watching the body's reaction before ever committing to a full dose. It's the same logic your immune system uses when exposed to a new pathogen. Start with a small signal, calibrate the response, scale up only if it's safe. Ancient healers were doing this consciously, culturally, across centuries. The Ebers Papyrus, an Egyptian medical text from around 1550 BCE, records over 700 remedies and prescriptions, including honey and willow leaves used to treat wound infection and pain, nearly identical in function to modern antiseptics and analgesics. This wasn't random guessing that got lucky once. It was a slow, brutal, multi-generational filtering process. Every remedy that survived because it actually worked, and everything that didn't work simply disappeared from the record, along with sometimes the people who tested it. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. The software that made this possible wasn't logic, it was ritual. You'd think ritual and superstition would be the enemy of real medicine. In many ways, ancient healers didn't understand why willow bark worked. They had no concept of salicylic acid, no concept of inflammation pathways, so they wrapped the knowledge in something they could transmit reliably: story, ceremony, and sacred rule. This is the part historians of medicine emphasize again and again. Ritual functioned as data storage. A rule like, only pick this bark at dawn from the north side of the tree and boil it exactly this long, sounds superstitious. But it often encoded something practical: compound concentration changes with time of day, with sun exposure, with preparation method. The ritual preserved the dosage protocol, even without anyone understanding the chemistry behind it. Hippocrates, writing around 400 BCE in Greece, documented the use of willow bark and leaves to reduce fever and pain. This knowledge almost certainly drew on far older oral traditions, practiced long before it was ever written down. And it wasn't limited to one region. Traditional Chinese medicine independently cataloged thousands of plant remedies over more than 2,000 years. Indigenous healers across the Americas developed detailed pharmacopoeias of local flora, completely isolated from old world traditions, and yet arriving at strikingly similar categories. Pain relief, fever reduction, wound care, digestive treatment, different continents, different cultures, zero contact, and yet the same underlying scientific patterns kept emerging because they were testing against the same biological reality. And here's the reveal that should genuinely unsettle you. In 1897, a chemist at Bayer named Felix Hoffmann synthesized a stable, less irritating version of salicylic acid. He named it aspirin. It became one of the most widely used drugs in human history. He didn't discover the medicine. He refined something ancient healers had already found, using nothing but attention, memory, and generations of careful, repeated observation. The same pattern shows up with penicillin. Ancient Egyptian and Serbian folk medicine used moldy bread applied directly to wounds, centuries before Alexander Fleming ever looked into a petri dish in 1928. They didn't know what a fungus was, biologically, but they knew empirically that it stopped infections from spreading. This is the twist. Primitive medicine wasn't primitive at all. It was slow, rigorous, and repeated across thousands of trials, filtered by literal survival. In many ways, it was the scientific method, just running on human generations instead of laboratory afternoons. So the next time you take a painkiller or an antibiotic or any modern medicine, remember what it actually is. It's not a break from the past. It's the end point of a process that began with a human being tens of thousands of years ago, paying very, very close attention. No labs, no instruments, just patience, memory, and the willingness to test, observe, and pass it on. Modern science didn't replace that process. It just gave it better tools. And maybe that's the real hidden science. Not that we invented medicine, but that we spent thousands of years quietly uncovering what was already there. If this uncovered something you didn't know, subscribe to Amon Uncovers. More hidden science drops every week.